I'm never gonna go full frame. These YouTubers don't know what the hell they're talking about. F them. They don't know anything. So today I received my very first full frame camera and full frame lens. Why, you might ask? Well, I was really happy with the APS-C line from Sony. I had the a6000, I've owned the a6500, and this is the a6400, which I'm now selling. And the reason why I like them so much is because of their compact form factor. So for those of you who haven't seen my other videos, the reason I buy the camera gear is to take it hiking most of the time, or, you know, street photography and things of that nature. So I wanted something small, I wanted something lightweight and easy to carry, hence the a6000 line of cameras. However, there is one camera that kind of changed the game. Now, because I'm not super rich, I wasn't going to buy it because it was kind of out of my budget a little bit, as you can probably tell by the other cameras that I've owned. But thanks to a little store you may know called B&H and their used department, I was able to get this at a really, really good price. And it was just too good to pass up in terms of the pair, right? So let's open the boxes and show you what I got. Okay, so I don't know which box is which. I'm just gonna start with this one. I know most people do unboxings in slow motion, but I'm gonna do it in real time and give you guys a look as to what's inside. By the way, as someone who lives in Canada, this is my first time buying from B&H. So yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. Let's see what's in here. Sorry about the tripod legs in the shot, by the way. But I'm too excited to open this and I didn't take the time to do a proper setup. So that's lots of bubble wrap. So this is the camera, which is the a7c. Maybe right side up would help on that one. Let's check out, it is a used model, which is why I got it at such a good price. Let's check out the condition and what comes in the box. This is very exciting. All right, so we got our warranty information here, which is probably useless for a used camera. A little strap that I'll probably never use. One of the big selling points of this camera, which is very dirty, the Sony Z battery, which should require to not carry 18,000 batteries like the a6400. That's one thing I'm really excited about. Well, maybe we'll open the accessories first because the camera's the exciting part. So USB cable and charger, fantastic. And another thing that I like about this is that it's USB-C. Now for the fun part. And yes, I did get the silver model, because it was the only one at that price. It said on B&H's website that it was a 9 in terms of the condition that it came with, but man, oh man, this thing looks brand spanking new. I mean, they're not terribly old cameras, right? Let's check out the sensor. Yeah, that is in basically brand new condition. Little flippy screen action. Also looks brand new, not a mark on it. I mean, this thing is untouched. This thing is in fantastic condition. Get this, it was about 30% off the retail price, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So here is the other box. Let's get this open. This is my first ever full frame lens. And there's another 2 on order, so many reviews coming soon. Here is the Sony 20mm f1.8G, also used. What's interesting about this is B&H had listed it as having scuff marks on the body. Let's see how good their rating is. By the way, for those of you who shop there, in their rating system, they listed it as an 8+. So just to give you an idea, the camera was a 9. Very well packed. All the documentation is still basically in brand new condition. Now, nice leather case, which is basically brand new. Inside the case, everything, it even smells brand new. Yes, I'm building suspense for the lens. Deal with it. Lens hood looks like it's basically brand new. There's no scuff marks on this. Let's check out the important piece. The lens itself. Now I'm looking for the scuff marks that B&H claims are there in their rating. But man, oh man, this thing, I don't know how much you guys can see on there. This thing is in perfect shape. I mean, absolutely flawless. The ring feels good. Aperture ring feels great. Let's check out the glass. The glass is in fantastic condition. This lens also about 30% off retail. Lens mount also looks fantastic. Let's mount this guy in the camera. And there she is. This will be my new video setup. And you know, I was thinking about the weight. Hang on, let me get the scale. Take off the lens cap. Grand total of 885 grams. Battery, lens, and camera. Now, 885 grams is about just under 80 grams more than what the A6400 was with the Sigma 16mm f1.4. So in terms of weight comparison, this is a really tiny package given that it's a full frame sensor. I mean, that's pretty incredible. To get full frame quality in this size, I know people have their gripes about the A7C. I'm not an idiot. I've seen the reviews about, you know, the small viewfinder and all the little nitpicky stuff, but man, oh man, for my use case and my purposes, this is absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to get out and shoot with this. I will show you a comparison really quick. Just some test shots I took between the Sigma 16mm. I'm about to go take them with this lens now, just to see what the two lenses look like, how they compare, and of course the focal length on both the cameras. So the Sigma 16 was on my Sony a6000, and this guy obviously is going to be on the a7C. Let's check those out. So what we're looking at here is the 20mm f1.8G. On the left, we have it on the Sony a7C. On the right, we have the 16mm from Sigma on the Sony a6000. So just so you could see sort of a comparable field of view, I think, on both cameras, 20mm on full frame versus 16 on APS-C. The 20 is a tad wider, and I kind of missed my shot here in terms of the angle. So yeah, I need to get better at that. So they're both at the same settings. Now, as you can see, both are shot in JPEG. They're not RAW files. Both were shot on Creative Style Vivid with 0+2+2 settings. Now, as you can see, obviously the a7C has a lot more detail in its photo versus the a6000. That's to be expected just because of the sensor size, but it kind of gives you an idea of how sharp the two lenses are, right? And if I bring the Sony 20G a little bit closer and zoom in, let's say to about 150%, you can see, especially in the hair right over here, you can tell that there's way more detail on the a7C one than the a6000 one. Now, this has to do with the lens camera combo. Let's have a look to see how the 20mm on the a6000 does against the Sigma. Okay, so now what we're looking at is both these are shot on the Sony a6000. Again, Creative Style Vivid 0+2+2. However, we're using the Sony 20mm f1.8G on the left and the Sigma 16mm f1.4 on the right. Now you can see there's a slight difference in the color rendition of the two lenses, but what's really remarkable here, I mean, yes, the Sony is a little bit zoomed in, so that will play a role, but just looking at the texture and the detail, the amount of detail that the Sony picks up versus the Sigma is really remarkable, especially given on a 7-year-old camera, right? So that Sony lens is super duper sharp and really, really nice. I mean, all the way through you can see there's way more detail in the Sony than the Sigma. I mean, it's quite remarkable. And just so you guys know, what this is a page from a coloring book that's been colored with color pencil, so you can really get a sense of the texture just from that, right? So this comparison is both on the a6000, the Sony again on the left, the Sigma on the right, and what I want to highlight here is not so much the detail or the sharpness, but number one, I wanted to highlight how much of a difference in the amount of light they gather there is. So just between f1.8 on the Sony and f1.4 on the Sigma is significantly brighter. Both of these were shot again as JPEG straight out of the camera, creative style vivid, 0+2+2, and in the exact same lighting conditions. So the f1.4 really makes a huge difference here. However, when you're putting the Sony on a full frame camera, of course, that'll compensate for the performance in low light, right? Now, another thing to notice here is both of these were shot at the minimum focusing distance. So just to give you an idea, the Sony, given that the focal length is a little bit more zoomed in and it's got a comparable minimum focusing distance, it does focus in and allow you to get closer to your subject than the Sigma did on an APS-C camera. And this is just to give you an idea of the difference between having the Sony 20mm f1.8G on a full frame camera versus an APS-C body. The a7c is on the left here and the a6000 is on the right. So it gives you a good idea of what the lens will look like one versus the other, right? So you get a 30mm field of view, equivalent field of view on the a6000, and you get the 20mm, of course, on the a7c. So that gives you kind of a quick overview of how the Sony 20mm performs versus one of the sharpest lenses on Sony APS-C. That said, I will have a more detailed review of the Sony lens coming up soon, so stay tuned. Now, one of the first things that drew me to the a6000 when I first got it, I came to that from a Nikon D40 years and years ago, is at the time that I bought this, it was probably about 2016 or 2017, early 2017. This was a major leap forward versus whatever else was out there. I mean, the a6000 from an autofocus perspective just blew every other camera out of the water, especially given its form factor, right? It was super tiny, super small, super lightweight, especially with the kit lens that it comes with. I mean, I know a lot of people rat on it, but I'm filming on it right now and the quality is probably pretty good, right? So the a6000 at the time that I bought it was a really impressive camera. I mean, I was super happy with it and I wanted something small and lightweight, and this fit the bill. Now, the a7c, when it came out, appealed to me for much of the same reasons. In terms of the tech you get in comparison to the package that it comes in, I would argue the a7c is just as much of a leap as the a6000 was way back in the day. I just tried it out and took some quick test shots that I just showed you guys. And I gotta say, even though the a6400 has amazing autofocus, as we all know, I mean, with animal eye detect and all that stuff, the a7c just seems that much snappier. And I really didn't expect that. I thought the autofocus system was actually, for all intents and purposes, the same between the a7c, a66, a64, and a6100. But man, oh man, this thing is lightning fast. I was as surprised by it as I was when I got my a6000. So I know a lot of YouTubers complain and nitpick about the a7c, but man, oh man, my first impressions, unbelievable camera. Just to show you guys something real quick, because we're talking about size and weight, right? I'll grab the scale again. Now, the a6000, the battery is in here. I know I have these on, but that'll only add a couple of grams here and there. The a6000, that's what made it amazing. 345 grams with the battery, which is insane. I mean, if you pair it with a small lens, it's like you're carrying nothing at all, right? Now, 345, right? The a7c with the battery comes out to 521 grams. Now, in comparison, the a7c is much heavier than the a6000, but when you compare it to other competing cameras, like for example, my a6400, which is about 420 grams, this thing's 100 grams heavier. Here's the interesting part though. A lot of people say that full frame glass is bigger and heavier and more expensive. The last part being true, but this guy here, what made this super interesting to me is that it's smaller and lighter than the Sigma 16 1.4, gives you a wider field of view, and of course it's a Sony lens, so the autofocus will be just a touch better than the Sigma was, right? And it has all the manual controls on the body, which the Sigma didn't, the aperture ring, etc., and it's a G lens, right? So And of course, the sharpness is right up there with any lens kind of ever made for the Sony system, right? So this kind of bucks the trend that people talk about with full frame glass being uber expensive, uber heavy, and uber large. Compared to the Sigma 16, I mean, I'd much rather carry this. This is about 40 to 50 grams lighter than the Sigma 16 and probably about an inch shorter. I'll show you guys a comparison shot. I don't have the Sigma 16 anymore, but I'll put two photos of them next to each other and I'll show you what I mean. Now, the other thing that actually a lot of people have pointed to as something bad about this camera, but for me, it actually makes a lot of sense. I like the fact that there's not a ton of controls on it. It's a simplified body. It's got just enough buttons for me to customize all the stuff that I need, but I don't like fiddling around with my gear a ton. Like, I like taking photos, I like taking video, and I like gear that just makes that stuff easy and will do what I wanted to when I wanted to without too much hassle, right? It's the reason why I got the a6400 because of the flip up screen to make videos. And it's a big reason why I like this camera body with these controls, because it just doesn't complicate things. It'll take great photos, great video without too much fuss. And yeah, it just makes things a lot easier. And that's what kind of appeals to me about the lack of controls, which everybody complains about, but whatever. Okay, and now here we are. We are officially filming on the a7c. It's going to take some getting used to seeing the screen on the right instead of right on top of the lens. To be honest with you, I kind of liked the screen being right on top. It's kind of more in line with looking at the lens when you're talking to it. But you know what? I'm liking this. And this is handheld, by the way. It's not on a tripod, so just so you get a sense of what the stabilization is like. Obviously, I'm sitting down, I'm not moving a whole lot. But also, one thing that I kind of appreciate about the flip to the side screen is, of course, that I can put the microphone on top. Before, I was using a GorillaPod to kind of shoehorn it onto the tripod. It was kind of awkward, but this makes for a nice small package. And if I don't want to use a tripod, it's light enough for me to hold the camera. I mean, man, oh man, it is very, very convenient. And the screen behind me just went blue and kind of ruined the shot. I suck at this, which is why I bought a camera which will compensate for my shortcomings. Anyway, so let me know what you guys think about this a7c compared to the video I was shooting at first with the a6400. Another benefit, of course, is that the ISO capability is much better on this camera, which I'm definitely going to be testing. But in the coming weeks, I will be posting some comparisons between this 20mm and the Sigma 16mm, my thoughts on the two, a review on both the lens and the camera that I got today, a comparison between the Rokinon 35mm f1.8 that I'm getting and the Sigma 30mm 1.4 that I had, and a couple of other interesting little tidbits now that I have this bad boy. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to see all those videos. Like this one if you like what you saw, and I'll see you guys in the next one where hopefully I won't be spending another several $1,000s on gear that I don't actually need. See ya.